Hey, there we go.
Finally. Finally.
Oh my God. So we're live.
We're totally
So
live.
what we're going to do is I'm going to share this to the world while this is going on.
Wonderful.
And we'll get some people here as it's building. So first of all, Shlomo, I think it's kind of weird because you're going to have to welcome me now into your feed while I get all on.
Weird things have happened, brother.
Okay, so for all those that have the pleasure right now of watching, we are right now sharing this to all of our people, and things are starting about to get busy and lots of action going on. So welcome, Shlomo Katz, to your own feed. We were supposed to be going live virtually, and with the virtual character that we've been working on, unfortunately, due to technical difficulties, we might still do something later on in the future. And it's actually a lot more of an interactive one-on-one experience, me throwing you your own videos, pictures, and a lot of cool other stuff that we can do Torah-wise. But unfortunately, we can't. So that being said, we're going to still have to do it this way. So first of all, how you doing? How's the land of Israel doing?
The land of Israel is getting more and more and more. It feels like it's getting more and more ready for redemption every day. This was a hard week, though, a really, really hard week. And it comes in hand that the more it's ready, the closer you are to where you're supposed to be, the harder things become. So that just means that it's got to be right here, right in front of us. The great day, the day that's all Shabbos. It has to be, because otherwise you couldn't deal with it. But this land is a land that just is so in unison and in one with the Ratzon Hashem.
Right. Have you actually gone by what the person, the fellow Jew that passed away, his name was?
Rav Itamar Ben Gal.
Did you have any connection or did you know him at all? Or?
Oh, it's interesting. My brother asked me the same thing. I keep on looking at this picture, and it seems like someone I would for sure know. I don't believe that I knew him personally, but you feel so connected to, all of us, we feel so connected whenever we see these images. But really the land itself has never been more beautiful with all its tears. So that's where things are now.
Let me ask you a question. Well, just to give you a little plug, you are coming back to South Florida, to Miami this week. And we're all very, very excited about that. I know that I'm ecstatic that you're here and you're going to be here with us. You are going to be, over the weekend, you're going to be in Boca.
Right. I'll be
for Shabbat, and then you're going to be heading out on Sunday night. You're going to be performing in Aventura at the Lighthouse project, having you back again. And we are very, very, very excited about that. I think it's important for the viewers that are actually watching or will be watching later on. This is going to be shared in a tremendous amount of groups on Facebook throughout the world. For those that maybe have heard your music but not maybe necessarily know about you in general and your background, and I myself am curious to know, how did you start out getting into the musical industry business and going in the derech? Obviously, you've had a very long derech, which has led to where you are now. But if you just a little background in general on how you grew up and how you grew into this whole musical persona that you are.
The first article that anyone ever wrote about me was in the Jerusalem Post when I was about 22, I think. And the title was The Accidental Musician. Because it was something not planned. I was dabbling around with music because I grew up in a home of music. My father is a real musician, a cantor, a chazan, the music, and obviously my brother. We were always around a lot of music, but I never ever thought, in fact, I never took it that seriously. In fact, when I moved to Israel when I was 22, when I moved back here, my dad had to convince me to bring my guitar with me because I was going for smicha. That was where my heart was, and thinking that's really the direction. My dad said, "Listen, kach ta gitara, ta lo yeda ma holech liot." You know, you just take the guitar. You don't, like, you don't know what's going to be. So I did. And then I realized that Hashem had other plans for me to only be focusing and sitting on learning. Even though now I wish I could really go back to some of those lost years, because I was very, very busy with music while I was learning for smicha. But when it became real, I realized that I made a deal with Hashem. I said, look, if you want this, then I'm not going to try too hard to run after anything. There's something to do here, that there's an opportunity to touch people's hearts and really be close to those that really, really want to feel connected with the nigonim, and want to feel like they're part of something meaningful. Everyone just wants to be part of something meaningful. So then I decided I'm going to take this a little bit more seriously, because this is what Hashem has put in front of me. I have to really, 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 respect the opportunities that Hashem puts in front of me. And together with a bunch of angels, that's what I call them, and you're one of them. I have them all over the world, little angels here and there, that really play such a powerful role in helping me meet more and more people. It's been a long, beautiful, interesting ride, and it feels like it hasn't even begun.
Let me ask you a question. Right now, you're living in the city of the holy city of Efrat, and you moved there. How many years? How long has it been now?
We've been in this area since over 9 years.
9 years, and obviously the city has been growing and growing. And I know I was privy to actually partake in a Shabbat in Efrat when we had our trip out to Uman, and see all the covers of the different tzaddikim in the Ukraine area. And your community, what you have going on there, is amazing. Obviously, from an American perspective, it's even more amazing when everybody around you is speaking, in an American language, and everyone's kind of on the same wavelength. Just trying to survive, trying to make it. At the same time, in a very incredible atmosphere. If you can define for me what it's like living in Efrat, what your experiences have been being there, and I know that you guys are in the process of maybe working out to try to promote the city more, the lifestyle more. If you can go a little bit more in depth on that and your experiences.
I would sum it up. It's a very great question. It's what I love talking about nowadays more than anything else. Yeah, I would sum it up as saying, what a time to be alive in Eretz Yisrael. What a time. We have the most incredible chevra. We have the most beautiful, energetic, passionate, compassionate kehillah, community, filled with all the things we love the most, all the things we love the most, which is, learning and singing, learning and davening and connecting. That's really been the spirit of it, and that's what's been really, keeping us hungry. And that's what it really is. And it's basically a bunch of, I would say, families, ranging with people in their lower 30s to their mid 40s, give or take, the bunch of little kids. And since so many people here work American hours, then we have the mornings to learn, both men and women, every single morning. This morning, for instance, Tuesday morning, we started off Tanya with the men at 7:30, then learned right after davening at 9 o'clock, Pia Setzner, the Bnei Machshava with the Chavra at 9. At 10 o'clock, we recorded our radio show from thelandofisrael.com, which broadcasts from our shul. And then at 12 o'clock, we were learning with the women, Sicha Saran of Rabbi Nachman. I came home at 1 o'clock, and I didn't understand why my arms were mamish. I was buzzing. I was trying to understand what's going on with me. And you're on a daily, it really is a daily high, but it's a healthy high, because it's a high that doesn't really have a low. And if you are if you are going to get into a low, you have a circle, you have a network of brothers and sisters that are holding you and are really, making you conscious of the fact that you're not going to go through this alone. That's it. So, and we're only beginning. We're only beginning. But it's a wonderful, people that I feel like, Rav Weinberger told me, Rav Moshe Weinberger once told me that the people that you're destined to be with forever and to grow with, that was destined already, that was already set up years ago in Shemayim. Years ago in Shemayim. So we're getting taste, what it feels like, who Hashem had in mind to set us up with on a soul level.
So just to clarify, you're telling me that your general, because of the fact that so many people are working in American hours. So just again, I'm not to say, I'm giving a plug here to moving to Israel, and I'm also giving a plug in general to, being, in general part of your community. But most people that live there are Americans living the time frame of an American business day. So you're telling me a general day would be consisting of learning all day long, potentially, and then going to work in the afternoon, correct?
Learning all morning long. Well, not all morning. What we have now is learning from about 7:30 till about 11, till about 10:30, 11. And then the men do tshuva gufanit, which means tshuva, physical tshuva by playing ball, by playing basketball. So there's tshuva on all fronts, hopefully.
So you're getting the best of the Gashmias and the Ruchnias every morning until that time.
A lot to offer on the level of, just making sure that, okay, there's no Target and there's no Costco, but, you got your Burgers Bar and you got whatever you need in this area.
Well, if you got Burger Bar, then you got whatever you need, obviously, so.
Listen,
let me ask you another question.
I'm sorry, what's that?
I was gonna ask you another question that we also have had a conversation about. I think it's important that people hear this because not everybody talks about it, and yet at the same time, I feel like, look, my background being with the Lighthouse Project is something very much all about all-encompassing all different aspects of Judaism, and we've had this conversation before about this kind of. I'm trying to find what the word is, Jew, that's coming along nowadays. It's this Hasidic blend of how you say, as we spoke about, you can be very much into Chabad, Breslov, exactly, you're teaching the Pirshetzer Rebbe, and then at the same time, like, I could be learning about the laws of the Ben Ish Chai, and then the next moment, be learning some, just general Gemara or Shulchan Aruch, and just really try to encompass so much of the richness of Judaism in so many different ways. And sometimes that derech, I find a lot of people, I'm Ashkenaz, I'm this, I'm that. And it's very straightforward. And now we're starting to see, at least from my experiences, people are kind of, dabbling in all different styles of learning, which is something that you do. You teach, I'm saying, and you are a part of this. Again, I wanted to hear your thoughts on it and to tell the audience, because I think a lot of people sometimes get very confused, and at the same time, there's a lot of normalcy going on regarding this.
No doubt. It has to do, it obviously has to do with the times and the fact that all these rebbes that we once had alive, for us to go to and feel like I'm part of this, they're not around anymore. But on a very practical level, I think I shared this with you a number of years ago, maybe not. A few years ago, I don't know, 6, 7 years ago, I decided to do something nuts and write a handwritten letter. Remember what that was? Remember those things? There's like a movement you do. Yes. There's an ink.
It requires a pen. It's a pen, right?
A thing called paper. It was a whole mishagas, whatever.
Wait, what was that?
I didn't know what felt like to do that, and I poured out this very clear pain, a very clear pain that I had. It was a pain that I was happy I had, but it was hard, and I directed it to my mashpia, to Moshe Weinberger. And I wrote him the letter, and the letter was about 6 or 7 pages. It was mamish very long, of describing the pain I have that I wish I had at derech. I wish I could say I'm this, not because I'm not because of any other reason, other than just feeling that there's some clarity on the road. This is what we do. This is the minhagim. This is the way of learning. This is the way of applying it to your mental faculties, and this is the picture of you. But what could I do? Am I supposed to, like? I remember I one time had a conversation with the Breslovers. I said, am I supposed to, like, have charata that the Alter Rebbe has my neshama, but Reb Nosson Breslover makes me feel closer to myself than anybody? Are these things that I have to feel bad about? But at the same token, it kills. It kills. So I sent it to Rav Weinberger, and I flew out to New York about a month later. And I set up a meeting. We were sitting in his heichel, in his chamber, and he pulls out, I said to him, did Rebbe get the letter? He pulls it out of his desk. It was in his first drawer. He said, I said, did you read this? Did you get a chance to read it? He said, read it? He said, by the fourth time I was crying with you while I read it. And then he picked up the letter and he said, because this is my letter. This is my. And he didn't give me any answers in that sikha. He gave me so much more than what an answer could give me. He gave me a sense of that, basically, all the real lonely neshamas in this generation just have to decide that we're going to be lonely together. We're not made of neshamas that can say, it's just the Torahs of, I don't know, like whoever it is. I mean, just like, it's not just Chassidus. I'm saying, like, the Gra, when you learn the Gra, when you learn Nefesh HaChaim, when you learn the Sifrei Musa, when you learn Michtav Melial, when you learn it with a certain melody, with a certain tune, it also becomes part of your derech. However, you can't really verbalize that and say what that derech really is, because it's something that never existed before. And I think it's absolutely beautiful, but there's a cost to it. There's a price. I actually think it's the most beautiful thing that's happening in the world. And it's even not just, like cultivating different Hasidus. It's cultivating Yiddishkeit. Like, it's not enough to just know the Tanya. Today, you mamish have to, like, feel at home with the Chazon Ish, the Chazon Sofer, and the Chofetz Chaim, together with the Alter Rebbe and Reb Mendel Vitebske and Reb Mendel Rimanover. It all has to be one today. And I hope and I believe that we're heading in that direction. I really, really do.
What about those people, though, that, will question the idea? Again, we also had this other conversation. The big thing I always run into recently is Chabad versus Breslov. And again, we could touch about it, a lot of different teachers and different styles of being taught in Judaism, etc. But the idea of someone has completely different types of derechs in a sense, though they both come from the good Hasidic roots.
Right.
They're very different. One comes from more heart up, the other one's brain. And when I try to tell one, let's say I would say one group or another, everyone seems very like, no, like that's not how it goes or whatever. And I just don't. I'm trying to really break that path. I'm trying very hard to make an imprint to try to let this be some sort of we can bridge these gaps together. Because I do see in both categories, I see, from the Chabad perspective, there's a lot of mind, but there's just not desire and heart. And on the other hand, I see some Breslovers that are just too much fired up and yet not enough, brain to really understand and comprehend. And
right.
How do you bridge that gap?
I think that it's okay to see when they do contradict, and they do not contradict, but when they do really take different turns. Like as much as it is, as much as if you're learning a lot of Reb Nachman, you'll see Reb Nachman pop up in the Tanya. It's just the way it is. But you'll also come to certain junctions where it really is a different train of thought, and it's okay. That's the beauty of this generation, is that it used to be not okay, and then you had to decide, where am I going? What avenue am I walking on? But the beauty of today is that
Right.
somehow I can see that there's a junction, and that in some school of thought over here, there really are two avenues, but that doesn't frighten me. I can contain the so-called contradiction, because I'm basically mechaven. I'm how do you say mechaven? I'm channeling. I'm aiming to something above that. So to
Right.
be able to be okay with that, I think is very important, very healthy, and also to not ignore the fact that yes, at a certain point, the Alter Rebbe and Reb Nachman are going to tell you, it's that way. At a certain, and then they might meet again, but at a certain point, it really is that way. We're actually right that way. We're doing that right now with Reb Nachman's approach to philosophy and his take on learning the books of Jewish philosophers, specifically like the Moreh Nevuchim, the Guide to the Perplexed. That's
Yeah,
really,
he's not such a fan of philosophy.
no, not at all. Not at all.
Philosophy is not a good thing.
The question is, so how can I really continue with Reb Nachman in my heart if I'm not willing to chuck the Kusari? Well, listen, how about focus on like everything else Reb Nachman said that doesn't involve you having to deal with, a personal conflict about another school of thought within Holy Yiddishkeit. Let's choose it. Let's be mature and let's choose it. That's our Bechira Chofshis. That's our exercising of our free will. Yeah.
When is your next trip? You're going out to with all the BRI group up to Uman and all these other places. When is your next one?
So the one on
By the way, Shlomo, I should stop you right there. You want to just in general? I mean, we had an experience several years ago. Again, preview enough to go with you and a bunch of Chevra from Miami on this trip to go to with the Breslov Research Institute to go to Uman and all the different areas of the Ukraine, which is an amazing experience, and I highly recommend that if anybody is watching right now that has had some sort of a state of, you want to break out of your dormant shell of Judaism, and you need to wipe off that dust of that neshama that needs to just wake up. It's a highly recommended trip for anybody who wants to do something special. Obviously, and for those that don't know what it's like to even go to the Ukraine, I know you've been there now many times. I remember the first time I went there, it was a very surreal feeling. What am I going to do there? And you're going back in time to the 1800s to a very special place. Tell me a little bit about, in general, also how you got into that, and what are your thoughts on these trips? And again, for anybody who's watching, would love to go see that on a future level. Tell me a little about that.
As much as I'd love to say that it's really about visiting the graves of the tzaddikim, something else happens on that trip. Something that I think that you witnessed as well. There's a dibu chaverim that takes place on that trip. There's some kind of a chevra that gets together that simply bonds on levels that you don't experience before, and it's definitely due to the purpose of the trip, which is to be around, the grave sites of these tzaddikim. But what happens really, as much as you think you're going because you have all these plans to go and pour out your heart by Reb Nachman, which of course everyone should have the privilege of doing that, and saying the Tikkun Klali by the kever, and even just being in that area and going to the Baal Shem HaKodesh. These are things that's even hard to describe in words. But more than that is that we build a vessel to contain the emotions while we're on the trip, because there's a lot going on. There's a lot happening that's unexpected. A lot that's unexpected. I always tread these trips by telling people, if you are going to kind of like view the trip based on what you think you're supposed to be feeling, you already lost. You already lost. So what ends up happening is that these trips are so powerful due to this combination of what we experience as a group. We go with a large group from here, and Chevra, come from Chutzlars, but you guys fit in right away. I mean, you came with us. You were here for Shabbos, and then we left Motzei Shabbos from Efrat, and we went on the trip. Right. So a bit of Akdama. But in any event, that's what happens on these very, very powerful trips. We've been doing it for quite a while now. As a Kohen, it's very weird to be leading these trips because I could, talk and share and whatnot, but I can't be with you, while you're there, which I've learned to see actually has its advantages.
Which would be?
Sorry?
What would be the advantages of that?
That in a certain place, shtika menatzachat. At a certain place, silence is what's needed. You have all the preparations. You're on the bus for hours. So you have preparations and you have printouts and whatnot. But while you're actually there, just do your thing. Just do your own thing. Don't listen to shir. Don't give shir then. So there really is some kind of advantage over there. Now we've been doing the men's trips, but the women have really been, wanting for quite some time to also have this opportunity. More than, again, not just to go there and be Berdichev and this trip we were in Anapoli by the Rebbe of Zusha and the Maggid of Mezrich, but to also form this bond and to create this, a more tighter unit of circle of friendship. So we've been talking about this for a while, and we're hopefully planning a women's trip sometime in May. And the men's trip we were doing in Elul. Till this last year, we switched it to Thanksgiving weekend because the chevra here that do work the American hours are obviously off, and Thanksgiving is not exactly like a yontiv here in Eretz Yisrael. I mean, some people celebrate it, but it's not like it's not as monumental, I think, as it is for in the States. So we're planning again to do it this year around then, and this year we're going to be going to a place we never went to before. As a group. I went there once alone, but as a group we never went there, which is to the Alter Rebbe. We're going to go to Hadich.
Right.
So there's a lot.
Amazing.
Yeah, the tickets now are at about like $160 a ticket.
Wow.
Close to the date, yeah. As you get closer to the date, it becomes like $380, $450. So we might even start purchasing them next week. So.
And this is for the men's trip happening when?
Thanksgiving weekend.
Saturday weekend. Okay. Very nice.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm going to ask you one more thing, and we'll leave off with this interview. Is you had actually sent me a clip, which I heard a couple of days ago, on something, a beautiful thing Shlomo Carlebach had said about what's going on. And obviously this is going back many years ago when he was playing, and even probably so much more so now, about how in this generation, Hashem trusts us more now than ever. The fact that where beforehand they didn't have television, right? That he's talking about television and movies. Now we're not dealing with television movies. We're talking about television, movies, social media, Instagram, Facebook, just besides whatever regular life we have to deal with. And yet at the same time, we're dedicated to learning Torah. Is an incredible thing. I wanted you to touch base on that statement and what you think about it.
I always tell people, men that are in their 30s or 40s or 50s, I say, do you remember when you were a teenager, what you had to do in order to be like a bad boy? What you had to do to get your hands on something that was improper. Remember what you had to do, right? Do you realize what kids have to do today in order to be intact with something that's improper? All they got to do is go like this and press a few buttons, which can either freak the daylights out of you and the world that you're living in, or it could let you jump into the belief that Hashem has in you, that He must trust us so much with His Torah today, that He still trusts us with His Torah while we have an infinite amount of distractions all around us. And the nachas that Hashem must be getting from every moment, from every minute moment, the tiniest moments that are used for meaning and for realness. So it's amazing how, on the one hand, the the ability to have a clear mind and to think straight and clear is becoming more and more difficult. But that just means that when it is happening, it's that much more monumental.
The high level.
It's on a level of energy, it's much more energetic. Yeah, whatever that means. I know that sounds very cool, but meaning it resonates with me. Like on a level of energy, what it does to you, that minute becomes so much more special than what it was probably 30, 40, 50 years ago.
And to me, Shlomo, if you don't mind me stopping right there, I just want to say to you that for me, when I hear that, I think about how in Shemaim, obviously, everyone's judged differently. And the zchut and the merit that we have in this generation more than ever before, considering the tremendous amount of opposition and challenges that are put in our way, that Yetzer Hara is on a high level now, that he can really just make us completely fall and stumble. And yet at the same time, with things that you're doing, and Baruch Hashem, things that we're doing here in the Lighthouse to try to inspire as many people as we can to get them to learn Torah and get close to Hashem, it's a very high level in regards to, I would say, the merit that after 120 years we get to Shemaim. We are being judged very differently than many other people. So people need to understand that when it comes to them taking out the time and effort to learn Torah or do a mitzvah, it seems to be it's like a much higher. Our standards, because they're so much lower per se, we are so much more blessed that we have a much higher merit when we do any sort of mitzvah.
Well, we never, we could be. We don't know. It seems like that's the way. We never really know how they're exactly looking at it. Like, we don't know what the scale exactly looks like. But what we do have to stop and say, wait a second. In 2018, in Aventura, there's this center, there's this Lighthouse project that is simply spreading Torah for no other reason than Shem Shemaim. You could say, if I had to be on the Beis Din in Shemaim, I would vote this. I would give a big thumb. That's all we could say. If I was up there, not anything to do with the judging. I mean, you guys are changing worlds all the time. The name, the Lighthouse Project, and what you guys are doing out there is not just things that are being spoken about where you are. It's reaching here in Eretz Yisrael, in Los Angeles, in New York, in Chicago, in Toronto. Wherever I'm going, people are speaking about it. It's tremendous, and I give you guys a bracha, a strong bracha, to be out of business really, really soon, because all those souls burning on fire are going to.
Amen. Thank you very much. To Katz, we'll see you very soon in Miami. And not only is this going to be a different, unique experience, because not only is this going to be a concert, but you're actually going to be teaching. We have it set up that you're going to be actually giving full Dvar Torah first, and then it'll be more of a music, Dvar Torah experience. But I mean, we're very excited. I know a lot of people watch your classes online throughout the world. And for those that are going to be in South Florida to attend this, it's going to be a nice opportunity to finally see you live in person teaching.
Can't wait. Just want to give over the dates again. It's this Sunday, February
11th, this Sunday at the Beit David Highland Lake Shul, where the Lighthouse Project is from, and the event starts at 8 p.m. And it's going to be amazing. Very excited.
Can't wait. Yeah,
all right, brother.
Bring all your friends, but tell them to pack a bag. We might be boarding a plane by the end of the night. We have to put it out there.
Hashem should hear your prayers. Ready to go to Israel.
I should hear my prayers.
All right, brother. So we'll see you again this Sunday.
And
safe travels, safe flights. Go with Shlomo. And we'll see you soon. Thank you very much for taking out the time. And for those that are interested in general, you can follow Shlomo Katz. Click on his account if you want to watch his weekly classes, giving classes on Tanya, Piazza Rebbe. Any other classes you're giving right now online that you could see?
The women's stuff is not Facebook Live. Almost every class, is uploaded onto my SoundCloud page. And there we have
Right.
Rav Kook, Nachman, Bilvav Mishkan Evne, Parsha, like you said, Pia Setzner, Tanya, and obviously Reb Shlomo's Torahs are creeping in and out of everything we're doing. So it's a lot of action there, a lot of traffic there. So all those things are on SoundCloud and Facebook Live and YouTube, you name it.
You forgot one more thing. Big surprise, the big reveal.
Yeah.
There's one more place where your classes are going to be streamed from.
That's right. The Lighthouse Project.
So Zat Hashem.
I actually have a break of traveling for a while after this trip, which will just give consistency, like from the middle of February till, I believe, the middle of May. The end of February till probably the middle of May is going to be really solid without traveling. So that'll be a special time to really get some consistency in some of the things that I would like to see happen mamash every single week.
That's Hashem. So we'll let you guys know when we get the actual date and time of Shlomo Katz, who will be now broadcasting Zat Hashem very soon live on our Lighthouse Project account. And while that's happening, we'll be working on the Lighthouse app, which was a whole Shlomo. You have no idea where we're going with it, but it's going to be one of the most coolest things that's going to be revealed in the world, where people can watch you on the spot. Don't have to be on Facebook. Don't know, but they'll know when you're on right away. And Zat Hashem should just populate the world with all your Torah.
Amazing. Yofi.
All right, brother. Thank you very much again. Zat Hashem, see you soon. Love you. Big virtual hug.
I feel you.